Okay, this is a tank Q&A. From this point right now, I will be uploading this to YouTube, and every night before I go to bed or right when I wake up, sometime around there, I upload every one of these shows to YouTube. So make sure you guys are subscribed to YouTube. All right, the highlight starts here. For the Twitch TV highlight that's going to be uploaded is going to be going from this point forward. Okay, cool beans. Let's open some of these questions. Guy wants to know, stam trinkets for Heroic Madness for a Druid tank, is it okay? Yes, it is. Stam trinkets for a Druid tank are really, really good. Not to mention that they scale with the percent thing and things like that. I know Stave Execution is also an option. I'm not a super big fan of that. Just because, well, I guess on a DK, some classes is probably a little bit better than others. If you guys don't know or aren't familiar with Stave Execution, that's the high jewel rep trinket for a tank. That will be up for every single impale. So, if you're using that and popping it for the impales, you're going to get, a 50k absorb out of that. It was pretty substantial. But, the shitty thing about, say, warrior or a paladin, the passive stats on it are just nearly worthless. You know what I mean? It's, mastery or dodge or parry aren't doing anything for you against an impale. So, but it is a 50k absorb. That's more than you're going to get pretty much out of that, or compared to a stam trinket, roughly. I don't know. But yeah, if you're playing a block tank, I would probably recommend wearing it just because. A Druid and a DK can get by pretty smooth with stam trinkets, and that helps pretty immensely against an impale. Because remember, you can't block the impale. Alright, just throwing that out there. Okay, going to be taking another question here. Okay, another question. Stave Execution opinions for Madness. Pikachu, what class are you asking about? Just curious. While he's answering that, we're going to catch up with this other one. It's SDog2114. I'm a prot warrior having trouble establishing aggro on 10-man heroic spine. During the third plate, my resto shaman pulls too much aggro and have 5+ bloods killing him. Could you explain a way to clean up the third plate for heroic spine? Yes, I mean, that is... first off, just let me know what you're using to pick up threat on those bloods. I mean, are you... just throw your armory in here. Let me take a look at your spec and things like that. But, I mean, to an extent, the healers are going to have bloods on it. There's a lot of factors that come into that. Like, if you're on the third plate to the point of getting just bloods coming out to, almost when you can't even pick them up, I mean, there's not really a lot you can do about that. But if it's like, if it's a constant problem, it's... If you'd have a vid or something, I could look at it and tell you exactly. But just going off of, the question you presented, a lot of it just depends on how many bloods are active, but if it's every blood, that's probably something you need to change, like rotation-wise or things like that. Let's take a look here. We got his armory, S-Dog, Perfect 10. Let's check out his spec. Yeah, you've got cleaving, thunderclap, that's good. The T-clap glyph is really good on that fight. Yeah, there's nothing glaring here. I mean, what are you using to hit them? Are you like trying to snap thread it with T-clap and like a cleave, or what exactly? Just curious. I'll get back to you. I'm not moving on from your questions. Trying to keep up with these. Pikachu DK Warrior. Let's see here. I've got my army saved. Somebody that's a lot better with math than I am. Tell me how much HP you're going to gain. Actually, I'll probably just log on my DK and do it. I know you'd have to... I like the DK trinkets just because... if you can get both of these double stam trinkets on a Druid or a DK, you need to be wearing those. If you don't have these, I would go with the Indomitable with the Stave Execution. But, I mean, a lot of times the Indomitable Pride will proc going into it, before the impale. You get the shield on you and things like that. But Oh, sure, 775 stamina. Somebody can, you know, with the blood presence modifiers and all that shit, let me know how much stamina that is, and you could more or less see it next to next. I never really had a problem with impales on the DK or the druid, and I never really had the need to use that. I mean, there was no, on a DK there was no need for external cooldowns, you know, with having IBF, Bone Shield, VB, and then even the times you didn't have IBF, you could chain Dancing Rune Weapon into Army and go off that. So, yeah, we'll have to look at some numbers, and then I'll get a better answer for you. When you kite, you have trouble taunting off healers. Yeah, if you're kiting, man, you're not going to be able to pick up all the bloods. You need to have another tank picking up bloods, and then you can just have vigilance on that tank, and then have a macro to assist him and taunt off of him, and that should fix all those problems. You shouldn't be, I mean, you should only be picking up 1 or 2 bloods while you're kiting, 3 or 4 maybe max, but I mean, like, some point is somebody else needs to be getting the bloods off the raid while you're kiting. You're not really going to be able to do both efficiently. Is gymming a DK for mastery right, and when should I stop gymming for it? There's no cap, you know. I mean, I'm sure there is one, but it's not really attainable. So yeah, there's no point in really stop gymming for mastery. I mean, you can go avoidance or you could go stam, but you guys know my thoughts on that. You know, you're going to gym stamina, and all you're going to do is really, I mean, you're not getting 1 shot. You're not even really getting 2 shot at this stage in the game. It's not like Wrath where you can get 1 or 2 shot. I mean, there's a certain situation where you can get global, like near the end on Blackhorn. It gets pretty rough, but that's just times you need to have a cooldown up. That has nothing to do with your itemization, you know. So, stamina is kind of losing its appeal in that regard to me. I mean, that's some people still do it. I don't. But yeah. So to answer your question, keep going for mastery. Let's see. I'm a DK tank progressing on Heroic Hagara. Before I get any further, make sure you annotate if this is 10 or 25 man. Let's see. For Focus Assault, what would be the best strat for managing cooldowns, blood shields during this? Outside of Focus Assault, the damage is negligible. I would recommend like setting on your runes to be able to at least get 2 death strikes off during the duration of the Focus Assault. Also having Bone Shield up helps a lot. You should have Bone Shield up. I mean, every phase you should have Bone Shield up going into it. And then the next one you can VB, or you don't even necessarily have to VB. You can, I mean, the point is, as a DK, you don't need a cooldown if you've got the runes available for your blood shield. Okay, so a lot of it just, you know, blood tap, being patient with runes and things like that. You can eliminate pretty much the need for a cooldown during Focus Assault. Personally, when I tank the fight, I get into 1 to 2 of the, you know, we have the raid move to where the ice lances intersect, and then I tank inside, and I basically soaking 2 ice lances plus tanking the boss, and you can IBF through, you catch a Focus Assault, and you can tank 2 full ice lances and things like that. So, I mean, on a DK you can kind of be a Superman on that fight because you can, yeah, eliminate the raid from moving and taking damage while taking it all yourself. And remember, you can also AMS the stacks of the ice lance things. Sick. Let's get back to the questions here. Do you have a city rotation for your druid on Impales on Madness? Yeah, let me just go ahead and find this cooldown rotation that we use during progression. This is one that me and Absalom came up with. And I mean, we pretty much just use it for everything. I thought I had it, but I'm not seeing it. I see a lot of people. The reason I want to see this is I want a lot of people have questions about the impales. I really want to find this. Hang on. There it is. Okay. Boom. Found it. Alright. So this is the spreadsheet. It's nothing like super secret. I mean, it's just an outlined thing which tanks looked at to see where their impales were. As you can see on the first platform, and this hasn't even been modified almost since like our first day on the fight. See what I mean? It's like last I did it was 65 days ago. So I mean, I could go through and modify this a bit more. Like I need to basically be throwing VB, amp, healing. I need to be throwing that on every one of mine. So that is here. Just it's already up here. Okay, so basically on the first platform, as you can see here, you're only getting 2 impales. You have, as a DK, I mean, you can see this from a Pally POV, and you see this from a DK POV, and the thing is it doesn't really matter what tank class you're on, the CDs kind of stay the same, okay? I'll go ahead and make this full screen so you guys can see it a little bit better, but, I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing, like I said, super secret. It's just, yeah, paying attention to what you need and timing-wise, because each tank has a major 3 minutes cooldown, except Warriors is on 2 minutes, so that doesn't do anything, doesn't change anything. So, basically, you guys remember what I'm saying. Your goal is to have 70% mitigation, like, passively. So that means either through your shield wall, like every tank has a 20% mitigating thing, except a Warrior, okay? A Warrior is kind of shafted on this. I mean, this is a really weak fight for a Warrior because you really just have shield wall and last stand. And while things like last stand are cool, things that reduce things by a % amount are better. You know, so like a prop Pally's got AD, Div Prot, and Guardian. A DK's got Bone Shield, IBF, and a Druid's got Bark Skin and his Survival Instinct. So I mean, like, every one of those that I just named combines to 70%. Outside of that, you need about like 150k shield on you. So there's a Pally, you spec into Guarded by the Light. Toss one of those on you during the Impale cast when you're topped. That's a free, you know, a few dozen thousand, like, it probably like 20, anywhere from 25 to 50k shield on you from Guarded by the Light on a Prop Paladin. I mean, if you really wanted to go hard on a Prop Pally, you can AD, throw that in there as well, but it's just overkill, you know. So first platform, everybody's got your Sarah buff. Then you combine that, like I said, with a Death Knight. You always have Vamp Blood, which is going to, you unglyph it for this fight. This is the only fight that I don't have it glyphed for. And you don't necessarily have to unglyph it, but I mean, it does help. You unglyph Vamp Blood, and you have Bone Shield up, and then you have the Dream. So that's 70%, plus the VB is going to amplify your Blood Shield from your Death Strikes, you know what I'm saying? So that helps. You go to the second platform, VB, Bone Shield, IBF. You have to tank the first one on the second to be able to tank the second one on the third. That allows time for IBF to come up. You see Abs here, he tanks the second one and then the first one, okay? So he Div Prot, Shield Walls, and ADs on this one, okay? Then the first he's also taking the first one on the third platform, so he's more essentially taking the second Impale on the second platform and the first Impale on the third platform with his Div Prot, which is always up since it's on a 1 minute CD, is Guarded by the Light Shield. He gets a Pain Sup and a Bubble Sack from a Pally, and we also have one of the DPS Warriors Last Stand. So, I mean, the Pally, that's the one that needs the most external help. Outside of that one, they're all pretty straightforward. Let's see. Then you go back here again. Same deal with me. VB, Bone Shield, IBF. You can, if you have a Prop Pally, we had Ab Sack me there for good measure. Not needed. It just helps. Might as well use it. It's not going to use anywhere else. I mean, but if you guys need to use those, say, on like Parasites or someone like that, feel free to do it. The key for the really strong part about a DK is a DK can essentially tank back-to-back Impales, like the second one here on the third platform. I am going from that one to the first one on the fourth platform. Since my IBF is down, I mean, you still have VB, you still have Bone Shield, you're popping Dancing Rune Weapon, which boosts your parry, and then because your parry is boosted, when you channel Army, that increases the damage reduction from Army, because when Army's channeled, it combines your dodge and parry and gives you that much damage reduction. So, I mean, that's actually, you're probably looking at more than you would mitigate through, or you're definitely looking at more than you would mitigate through IBF, because Dancing Rune Weapon is 20%, and you're around like, you know, mid 30% avoidance at this point in the fight with raid buffs and everything. So you're looking at over 50% mitigation through channeling Army. So it's like super cheese. You can use Empower Rune Weapon to make sure you're never rune capped or rune locked, whatever you want to call it. And if your DPS is kind of shitty, you'll get a third one on that platform. But guess what? Your IBF, your VB, and your Bone Shield will all back up. Okay, so I mean that's that. You know, once you get to the last platform, DK's king. You've got AMS to get the stacks off. You've got your Ysera buff and things like that. But if you're on other classes, you just have to, you know, kind of play smart. You can't really reset your stacks. If you have a Tolbrad trinket, definitely use that. All right, so that's the Impale rotation. But yeah, I didn't mean to get off on too much of a tangent with that. But you know, biggest thing is, I mean, you could scrap this and do a whole new one. You just have to get together with the two tanks that are tanking it and just line up your CDs. And know you're looking at about 3 minutes per platform. So almost every time, like if you're tanking the first one on a platform, you will definitely have your 2 minute or 3 minute CDs back up on the following platform. But it'll be the second time, if that makes sense. All right. So I'm going to get back to some of these questions. So okay, back to this guy. He's asking about a druid. Just to make sure, I don't want anybody being confused with this. We're talking about this from a druid standpoint. Say that I'm playing my druid here. Every one of these, this would be Ysera and Barkskin. Okay, remove VB. It's not needed as it is. All right, it's just a insurance factor. Okay, plus a druid has, you know, ridiculous amounts of armor compared to a DK. So I mean, it takes place of that, and it's passive. It's nothing you have to monitor. Try to get some Savage Defense procs, you know, during the cast of Impale, help out with your absorbs. So this one, it would be Barkskin and Survival Instincts. Okay, and yeah, and then here we go. The third platform, you're going to be taking the second one. That would be Barkskin and Survival Instincts again. Okay, then this one you would tank it the first time, but you're not going to have Survival Instincts up. You need to Barkskin and Frenzy Regen, and whenever you also need to get a sack from a Paladin, okay, and that'll be plenty enough for you to live. I've done it before on my Druid. So, and then your Survival Instincts will be back up. Basically, anytime that mine says IBF, that means Survival Instincts. Anytime that says Bone Shield, that means Barkskin. All right, and then here where I have Army, you just use your Survival or your Frenzy Regen, and you get a, you know, Bubble Sack or a Pain Sub if you have one from a healer. All right. Let's see. All right, Meta Slab, 10-man. Yeah, talking about Hagara. 10-man wise, that would be definitely the way to go. You can, you know, relieve a lot of healing stress from healers running around taking those ice lances and things. Do I have this in the Heroic Madness guide? No, this is a tank portion. The Heroic Madness guide is just raid strat overall. Yep, that's good. Tell your druid that. So if you're taking it with a DK druid, man, you've got tons of outsourceable CDs. You've got pain set because the DK is not going to need any. Druid shouldn't really need any either, but you have them available if you need to. Pally sacks, pain subs, things like that. Who am I going to vote for? I don't know. I don't really get into politics. Try to keep things tank related. Just to clarify, I'm 10-man and I'm 10-man and 10-man. Do I still tank 2 ice shards or on 10? Yeah, I mean, it's completely viable. I'll go through and try to find a video and show you what I'm talking about. I mean, you're not going to die. You just AMS when the stack gets remotely high, and you have a cooldown popped if Focus Assault happens between Icebound and a Pain Sub if you've got a Disc Healer. If you don't have a Disc Healer, call for a Holy Pally Sack. If you don't have either of those, you probably won't be able to do it, but you probably should have one of those 2 healers at least. Is Holy Shield completely useless after CTC? No. I mean, I don't understand that question. I mean, you realize what Holy Shield does, right? It amplifies the amount that you're blocking. It has nothing to do with the block percentage or block chance. It does have to. It only deals with the block. So what I'm trying to say is, whenever you're normally blocking 30%, Holy Shield amplifies the amount of percent reduced when you block. So it has nothing to do with CT. You get CTC capped, and that just helps you out. You basically are having a shield wall up when you press Holy Shield if you're only dealing with physical damage incoming. Okay. Okay. Caught up on some of the questions here. You guys keep them coming. I'm going to be going through a couple of armory audits here while we're doing this. Again, like today's show, it's it's like the tank Q&As are right around about an hour. We're like super busy with some of the other stuff, but we're going to keep chipping away at these. If you guys have questions, make sure to post them, and I'm going to get to them as they come. All right. Here we go. I'm gonna one sec. Be getting Dometsky. We're going to go over his armory real quick. It's the guy that submitted to have it reviewed. We're going to go through probably like 3 or 4 of these and then catch up on some of the questions. This guy's got a lot of unenchanted items. Let's go ahead and go through that. It's like several unenchanted items. Let's see. He's got 75 HP to chest, or 75 stamina chest, 2 chest. Then we've got 250 armor to cloak. Then we've got 65 mastery to gloves. And then we've got belt buckle. Oh, and 50 dodge to bracers. Assuming he's not a leather worker, which he's not. Okay, 50 dodge to your bracers and belt buckle. Okay. Let's check out his gems again. By the way, if you guys are wanting your armories added to the audit thing, you guys know the drill. Follow me on Twitter. Make sure to post your armory on Twitter, and we will, I will add it to the spreadsheet, and I just pretty much update it during these tank Q&As and when I find time throughout the week. So it may not happen immediately, but it'll happen. You guys can, the link's at the bottom of the stream. I'm working on getting that added as a button. So yeah. Let's look at his gemming. We've got mastery. Then we've got parry stam, and then we've got some dodge stam. Okay, it's not really making a lot of sense. Okay, yeah. You want to focus on mastery gems, not avoidance. Even if you go avoidance, you need to follow suit with your theme. You are mixing gem choices. Okay. If you guys don't follow all this, I'll just show the spreadsheet in chat. Yeah, you guys just follow me on Twitter, and you can just link your armory on Twitter. And like I said, I'll add it to the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet's just like a ongoing thing. And I mean, even if you guys have parse audits, I've got another tab here that I'm going to start adding parses. Haven't really got around to that yet. I need a little bit more insight. Like if you guys have a parse, I need you to tell me what you're wanting me to look at. If you're wanting me to look at like your damage breakdown as a tank, your cooldown rotation. I mean, I need to have a little bit more focused area of what I'm looking for, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay, let's get back to this guy here. Dodge mastery, that's good. His professions, engineering, mining. Let's see. Drop mining for blacksmithing or leatherworking, and finish leveling Engie. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at this guy's spec. Or actually, he's got sword shattering on his enchants. Okay, so we're going to comment on that too. Try using stone skin gargoyle instead of sword shattering. Much more consistent and less RNG. Now, I know some of you that have probably watched the stream for a while have probably heard me say it 10 times over now, but you don't want to. The Twitter link is on the bottom of the page, and it's also, I mean, scroll down. It's got a link. It says Twitter. Click it. It takes you to my Twitter. But yeah, back to the topic here. I mean, if you guys have been around the stream at all, you know that I'm always a huge promoter of Stone Skin Gargoyle over Sword Shattering, just because it's better in pretty much every way. The only thing Sword Shattering is going to really do for you, I mean, you're getting the 4% parry, which is a lot, but I mean, it's RNG, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be sitting there and being like, man, I hope I parry this next attack, you know, or I hope I avoid this next attack. It doesn't work like that. You know, if you have something like Stone Skin Gargoyle, not only are you getting the HP gain, which, I mean, like you guys hear me say, Mastery is better gymming than Stamina. Yeah, it is, in my opinion, but Stamina still matters. So that's what I'm getting at or what I'm getting at with that is, you don't want to just forego Stamina altogether. It's not like you need 10 HP and you get a million, you know, Mastery and you can just never take. I mean, you know, you get the point. So you don't want. What I'm getting at is, don't ignore Stamina. Okay, it's still a good stat, and it's a better stat than Avoidance. So the 2% stam that you're going to get through Stone Skin Gargoyle is not only going to affect, I mean, your overall health. It's also going to affect the coefficients on most of your abilities, like the cap on AMS, the amount Rune Tap heals you, the floor amount for your Blood Shield, the amount Death Pact heals you, and things like that. You know what I mean? So, not to mention armor is there for every single hit that you take from a boss. It's not giving you 4% avoidance. I mean, like, you can go an avoidance build, it will work. Plenty of people do it. I'm just trying to tell you, it's not the most optimal and consistent way to deal with things. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at his spec. His spec is really jacked up. Definitely don't want to have Virulence, so let's start with that. Drop Virulence for Epidemic. Alright, so EP. I have a brain fart here. Okay, Epidemic. Drop. What else does he have going on here? He's got Bloodcake Blade. He needs to drop those 3. That'll be 1, 2, 3, and then so drop points in Bloodcake Blade, and 1 point out of Sin of Blood. Yeah. Drop the 3 points in BCB and 1 point in Sin of Blood, and pick up Lichborn. Okay. If any of you have followed me on the DK thread a while back, I mean, I was a pretty big promoter of Lichborn there as well. You know, you need to have, I mean, Lichborn's like the, you know, ace up your sleeve or whatever you want to call it. You know, I mean, it's your secret weapon. I mean, if everything goes wrong, a healer dies, whatever, I mean, that's something that you can sit on and, you know, just keep it in your back pocket for whenever you need it, and then boom, you know, you can just machine gun out, you know, 70k death coils with Vengeance. I mean, that shit scales with Vengeance, and because it's off your tap power modifier. So, I mean, Lichborn is amazing. Okay, let's see what else this guy's going on. He's got Death Strike Glyph of Raised Dead. It needs to drop both of those. Drop Raised Dead Glyph and for either Death Coil or what's that? Rune Strike Glyph. And he also has Death Strike Glyph. He needs to, or Dark Succor Glyph. He needs to drop that for either Rune Tap or Dancing Rune Weapon. Either Rune Tap or DRW. Only use VB or AMS Glyph on Madness. Okay. A quick thing about the AMS Glyph on a Death Knight. You don't want to have it because it's a 5-second buff as it is. And if you can't make it happen within 5 seconds, those extra 2 seconds aren't really going to help you out a lot. Okay, so you don't, I mean, I'm just saying it's not neat. It's a wasted glyph spot because it's extending the duration of it's not really going to do a lot because it gets pretty much consumed in any situation in PvE, Madness probably being the only exception. Alright, so that's that, guys. We knocked his out. We're going over a couple more and see a few more questions. I'm going to address those from you guys. Do I use any cooldown like add-ons? I just use Dot Timer and use that to track my cooldowns. During the Ultraxian as a bear tank, what would you say is the best rotation of CDs for the Hour of Twilights? I'm assuming you mean heroic. If you don't, I don't think it really matters on normal. But if you mean heroic, since the debuff comes out, I mean you're going to have shield wall up for every single one. So, and by shield wall I mean survival instincts. So you just basically need survival instincts every time that you're staying out for your Hour of Twilight. Okay, outside of that, just pretty much bark skin anytime you pick the boss up. Use your 4-piece as you see fit. Just make sure it's up towards the end of the fight. The armory audits are open to any tank class. You guys just make sure you follow me on Twitter and throw the armory links on my Twitter, and I will get to them. Okay. As a DK tank, how do you handle the RNG of getting hit by the roar and the melee and devastate in a matter of less than 2 seconds, and then dying while the boss is super fast? Okay. Fairly high, and you had a sunk of blood shield while this is happening. I'm not sure if you, like, I mean, you have a timer for, I mean, the way it's rotating with the other tanks and things like that, you have a pretty high uptime on bone shield, so that's reducing it by 20%. You've got more armor than a warrior or a paladin for the most part. So, I mean, as long as you have bone shield up and you try and time, I mean, that's another time where mastery comes into play really heavily, is because, you know, going into something like that, the absorbs are going to be better than just the max health, because the extra, you know, 10k is not going to be able to compare to the extra 30k absorb. You know, I mean, it's a pretty big difference. So, I mean, if you're having serious problems dying, I mean, if you're dying with the boss is high, that really shouldn't be happening. You really shouldn't be tanking it. As soon as you get 2 stacks of the Sunder, that's when tanks should be switching. I mean, it should work out. There's a few times where you may get like 3 stacks. If you get a 3rd stack really early, just, you know, pop a small CD. You want to save IBF for the end. You're only going to have IBF up for one use during the, you know, last phase of War Master. So you have to make sure that you almost have it up towards the end of it. You can't really use it early. I mean, if you're going to die and you have to, sure. But, you know, and then just call for a pain sub or something like that near the end. But, yeah. If you're timing your blood shields correctly and you have, like I said, a pretty good uptime on bone shield, you really shouldn't have a problem dying. Remember to use armor pots. That's always a big one. I try to use an armor pot near the middle of that because I know I'm going to have, I basically try and set all my CDs for the end when he's hitting like a freight train, such as like IBF, even, you know, get your pet out. I mean, there's a ton of different options on DK. You can Lichborn, make sure you're full going into the AoE damage and things like that. So, if you have a parse, Kings 00758, if you have a parse, I'd be more than happy to go through it and look at it myself and tell you what's up. What's the macro for Lichborn Death Coil? I'd have to log on and get it. Send me a PM on Twitter and I'll get to it tonight. I'll respond to your you know, tweet on my Twitter and give you the macro. It basically keeps you where you don't have to drop target. You can just spam Lichborn while still death striking and things like that. How do I manage having RP for Lichborn? I always seem to want to use Rune Strike to try and get more. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a chess game. You got to make the moves at the right time. You know, I mean, playing a DK is not just sitting there, you know, spamming the shit out of Death Strike until you know, run out of runes. That's not really the way to do it. You don't want to, like, I mean, me personally, a lot of times I don't want to overlap Death Strike. Sometimes I'll just kind of sit on them. Like if I've got a blood shield up, you just need something to monitor when your blood shield is active. And while it's active, you don't want to hit it. You don't want to get a fat, you know, a huge ass blood shield where you just basically absorb a full attack, and then the next one you just get punched in the dick so hard that you almost get one shot. You know, it's better to have like the consistent damage. So I mean, I'm not saying to sit on runes. I'm just saying to use them like, what's a good word to put it? I don't know, just use them strategically, I guess. So, yeah, that's what a lot of that comes down to. The Absorb add-on, no, that is a custom mod that I had built. And I told you guys, I'm not really one to, like, give out a ton of the stuff like that. But, you know, we're steadily going up each week on consistent viewers like throughout the week. But once it gets to like 1,000 plus, I'll see what I can do if I get my UI out there. But yeah, I don't the absorb mod that I use. I mean, there's a lot of different ones out there, but the one that I have was one that was made for me, so it's not public. Let's see. If someone in my raid also gives the same debuff as Scarlet Fever, would it be fine to spec out of it and put the 2 points in something else? It's okay. The only thing that I have a problem with doing that is, like, say it's another tank and say that other tank dies, then you're not going to have demo on the target. Say that you're tanking another mob that the other tank doesn't have. I mean, it is fight dependent, and if you can 100% guarantee that someone else is going to take care of your demo shout, sure, go for it. But I've never really been a fan of that. You know, I'm always worried that I'll, you know, I mean, there's almost every single fight you're tanking something else that the other tank can't really deal with. Like, let's look at Morchok. You'd have to make sure you have Scarlet Fever on that. Let's look at Zanaz. You even still kind of need Scarlet Fever on that because, you know, you're going to be moving away. If you're two tanking the fight, or if you're solo tanking it, it's obvious reasons why you need it. If you're two tanking it, the other tank's going to go to one of the claws and you're going to the opposite. So, I mean, you still need it for your claw. If you're one tanking your size, you obviously need it. If you're two tanking it and you know the other tank's not going to die, you know, whatever, that would be a fight where you could get away with it. Hagara would be a fight you could probably get away with it. Old Traction, you could probably get away with not having it spec'd. War Master, I would definitely recommend having it just to be safe. Spine, I would recommend having it, and also for Madness, because all of those are fights where it's a decent probability the other tank's going to die and or be doing something different than you're doing. So, I mean, bottom line is there's no 2 points and it's really like, oh my god, I need to drop 2 points out of demo to pick this up. It's not really, you know, it's not really worth it. It's better to have it and make sure that you never run into issues of the, you know, debuff not being active. Does Dancing Rune Weapon return during Phase 2 of War Master? Yes, if you can pop Dancing Rune Weapon at the beginning, right when you pick it up, it'll be back up towards the end. It's more than a minute and a half long. Do you try to use Rune Tap on CD? No, I do not. I use it when I know I need to use it, and I use it a lot, but not on CD. I mean, you're not just like, oh shit, Rune Tap's up, let me hit it. I mean, you've got to need it, you know. I do try and use it, like, say, I don't know, there's just, when you pull a boss enough and you get down to where you know your cooldown rotation, like if you know you're about to take you know, a burst of damage or something like that, you can kind of, like, say I'm sitting at 50% and I'm on Morchok, right? Say I'm sitting at 50%, I've got the debuff, so I'm taking increased physical damage. I know I'm about to take another melee swing and I don't have a rune up, okay? There's just a lot of decision making that has to happen real quick, okay? I'm about to take the melee swing, I'm at, like, you know, 45, 50%. I rune tap because I know that melee is probably going to drop me below the threshold for Will of Necropolis. So what happens is you rune tap, it drops you below, and you get another free rune tap back to back. So that's a quick little, while we're on the subject of rune tap, that's a quick little way to do it. Basically, if you know you're about to dip and proc Will, you need to use the rune tap just because you're about to get another free one. There's no, it doesn't hurt you at all, okay? How do I space out my death strikes? In bursts after big damage spikes, or try to keep to a minimum shield? It just depends, man. Like, let's see if I can. Let's look at. Let's go to last night's raid. Let's just go ahead. Let's go to videos. Let you guys follow through it here. Let's go to. Here we go. Here's last night's raid.
This is Ford Truck Month.
And we gotta wait for the commercial.
A force made up of the
Okay, so I'm gonna mute that for you guys. After this commercial, I'm gonna go through Morchok. I'm gonna find Morchok on here, and then I'm gonna walk you guys through, like, rune cooldown usage and all that stuff. Okay. There we go. All right. If you guys want to follow along with me, here's the link. And you can click that. Okay, so we're going to fast forward here. Oh, that's way too far. There we go. Oh, if you guys want to get caught up, I'll give you a couple seconds. I'm at 155.26. It's 155.26, okay? So what's going to happen here is this is more chalk again. I'm going to just walk you guys through how I'm using runes and the cooldowns that I'm using, when I'm using them and why I'm using them. So again, 155.26, so I'm going to go ahead and start it. For the stream, just link the channel for people, get some people in here. Okay. I'm going to mute that way you guys don't hear me talking in the stream and then on the stream. It's like some Inception shit, okay? But, yeah, about to pull, and like I said, I'll just give you a walkthrough. This is just a fight where this is a fight where rune usage, I mean, as simple as a fight it is, it's a fight where rune usage is, you know, it plays a really big part in, like, what's going on, okay? So you see here, the other tank's going to pick it up. My job is to pick up the other one. I have a, so I'll pause it right here. See, Power Horse is a really big key for tanking, man. It doesn't matter if if I'm on my DK Warrior, Paladin, or Druid. It doesn't matter. You have to, it's all about just information flow, man. Like knowing what's going on. You see where my mouse is right here? This is my Vengeance bar. You know, I mean, it's not really that big of a factor. I'm just going through all the shit that I'm looking at. You get your Vengeance bar. Here's my rune mod. Here's my debuffs that are on the boss. Here's my, this is my new, an improved thing that Zonker, this is my newest mod that Zonker made for me, is my Shaman HP tracker. So, you know, it's just something that I bitch at the Shaman if I don't have my HP buff. Once I get it stacked, all they got to do is really keep a Riptide on you and it keeps the HP buff. So it's basically 10% HP permanently if they're able to keep a Riptide on you. So, you know, just making sure that that's active is and maxed out is pretty good. And it's not, I mean, if you can go stand in a healing rain, stand in a healing rain also. Okay, then we got my Death Strike. This lets me know when my Blood Shield's active. This lets me know, here's all my tank buffs, okay? Devo Aura fits right here. You'll hear me calling for that in a minute and getting it. This is Battle Shout, Horn of Winter. That gives you a substantial amount of parry still. Not any more dodge since they nerfed Agi and things like that. Right here is my beacon icon. You'll see these as the fight goes on. Here's my trinket proc. I mean, it's all about knowing what's going on. You don't have to set it up like I have it set up. You guys need to, you know, make something for your stream, or I'm sorry, for your UI that works for you. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then here we got cooldowns. You'll see as the fight goes on. And then here's the absorb mod that you guys always ask about. It basically tells me the total of all the absorbs I have on me. And then if I mean, and over here, this is just a breakdown of where all those absorbs are coming from. You've got Blood Shield, you've got the Pally Divine, what is this shit called? Illuminated Healing or whatever. Then you've got the Disc Freeze shit, Divine Aegeus, and then you've got Power Word Shield. Okay, so that's a quick rundown of the absorb and like shit you're looking for while you're tanking. We're going to let this play, and I'll get you the rune commentary. Alright? Alright, here comes my mod. I've still got the... Yeah, I've got the trinket proc, as you hear me say in the stream. Okay, so right here, I'm on my side now. Alright, all the buffs and all that shit go out. As you can see, here is the duration on my Shaman HP buff. Here is my Devo Aura. Here is my, you know, parry buff. Here is my beacon. Here is my Bone Shield, or whatever cooldown I have active, and then Earth Shield, as well as Blood Shield. So, that's my little information hub. I make sure that all that shit's active and it plays a really, because I mean, think about it. If you didn't have any of this shit active, you're gimping the shit out of yourself. All right, you like, if you don't have Devo, if you don't have the HP buff, you know, you're sitting without several thousand armor. You're sitting without 10% HP. You don't have the parry buff. You're sitting without over 1% parry. If you don't have, you know, I mean, all this shit adds up, man. All right, we're gonna hit play here. So, what's happening right now? I've got a Blood Shield. All right, I just refreshed it there to keep it from falling off. As you see here, it just fell off and I refreshed it. Okay. There's this, here comes a stomp. Shit. Okay. There came a stomp and I'm not going to rewind it because I don't want it to bug out. But, yeah, I hit it with a Blood Shield right before the stomp. That's a really strong part of a DK on this. Let's see. I'm going to play here. So right now you have the Stomp debuff. This is making you take increased physical damage, so it's important to keep a Blood Shield up almost at all times right here. So that's why I just refreshed that. Okay. blood shield right before the stomp, basically take any damage from the stomp. VB because I have the debuff and I don't really have a lot of runes up, so I VB'd for the healers just have an easier job there. We're going to let this play out after this. Okay, whenever, or this fight right here, or this part of the fight right here, you don't want to re-bone shield. It's off cooldown. You want to get it on cooldown ASAP, but you don't want to do it too soon because what's going to happen, I mean, I could have done it here now that I wasn't running in, but the ticks of the black stuff will remove stacks of your bone shield. So, you got to be careful with that. Alright. So right here, I'm waiting to death strike, okay? And then I knew that you don't want to wait too long, but you don't want to just spam it. Like right there is a perfect example of when I waited. Okay. Then I've got a blood shield here. We've got a stomp coming. I'm definitely going to death strike right now because I have the debuff. Okay, so see I have 8 seconds. See, I'm sitting on these 2 runes. I could have death strike for like 3 seconds there, and I didn't. Okay, I have a death strike for that. Notice how I'm not death striking because I still have a blood shield active. Alright? I'm not just spamming it just to spam it. It's all just a constant decision-making process, okay? Might not make sense to you, but I promise it's there. You don't just spam death strike because you have runes. There's always a good timing to use when doing so, alright? So that's a perfect example. We don't need to go through that any further. That's what I was looking for. I knew it happened last night. That's why I was showing you that one. So that should answer that question, okay? Let's see if anybody, let's see. If you disarm the 2 adds on gunship, does that stop the debuffs on the tank? Can they stack it without a weapon? Any tips for tanking heroic gunship? Tanks are prot wearing a blood decay. I think they can still apply the debuff if they're disarmed. I think it just hits for a lot less, like the cleave on the Dreadblade. We disarm the Dreadblade when we collapse because it just reduces the damage a lot, but I'm pretty sure it can still apply the debuff. Not 100% certain on that. You'd have to check, but it's not really a tank-intensive fight at the beginning, man. Biggest thing would just be make sure you're never facing the Dreadblade at people in the raid because they're just going to get wrecked, okay? And then in the last phase, it's all about timing. You don't ever want to have a tanking Blackhorn with more than 2 stacks of Sunder. Once you get 2 stacks, you need to be getting it off that tank within the next 4 or 5 seconds, or it's going to get really ugly really quick. And then later, you want to set on your major CDs as a non-warrior. As a warrior, you can probably pop Shield Wall off the bat if you need to, because it'll be back up since it's only 2 minutes. But as a DK, you kind of have to sit on that IBF towards the end. All right, you don't want to pop it unless it's a absolute emergency. That's just a judgment call, though. Okay. As a DK tank, are there any cooldowns that you use proactively versus reactively, and how does that vary depending on the encounter? That's a really good question. Yes, as a DK, you've got so many cooldowns that just my advice would be you need to use the short cooldowns proactively, okay? So things like Bone Shield and VB, those are your heavy hitters, man. Like, you need to be throwing them out like candy almost because this shit's only on a 1 minute CD. So, especially with your 4-piece, it's helping healers out. Use VB. Perfect example is like if I know I'm going to be taking damage, or in that video I just showed you guys, I knew I didn't have a rune up, I had the debuff, I wasn't even low yet, but I'm popping VB to compensate. You know what I mean? Like you got to know when you're going to be taking damage, and you got to pop, you get VB out there ASAP. Same thing with Bone Shield. It's up to 6 charges now. I think each charge has a 2.5 second ICD. So you're looking at what, 2.5 seconds times 6, whatever that's, you're looking at, over 12 seconds of uptime on Bone Shield. Probably like 15, I think. I don't know. I'm not. So yeah, things like that you want to use ASAP. Things like IBF, you kind of want to make sure those are used at the right time. AMS is another one. Only 45 seconds, man. That's you just throw that out as you need. You really like the stream? That's awesome. I really like you watching the stream. Just do me a favor, if you're new here, hit the like or follow button. And then you've also got the Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook links below. Okay, let's keep this going though. Got to step away for a second. What is the shield icon power aura? Oh, okay, this right here. I'm gonna go back on my UI. This right here lets me know if I have ancestral fortitude or inspiration. I could throw it in down here just so I have a nice, neat little line, but I don't know. This is one of the first ones that I made, and I just like the way that it looks. So that lets me know when I have Inspiration or AF active, which is another 10% reduced damage on physical shit. Alright? And then the little circle here, that just lets me know that Demo shouts on the boss. So that way, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal because I've got my timers right here, but say like I have a warrior in the group, that'll be 45 seconds. So I'll know that that's the warrior's demo that's active. Another thing here, you guys see, like, just look at the situation. I mean, I have Bone Shield down right now. I have Lichborn down right now. I have Dancing Rune Weapon down right now. I have Vamp Blood down right now. I know I need IBF for later, so I pop an Armor Pot. I mean, people don't use that. Enough, I don't think. I mean, you guys use Armor Pots. Armor is amazing, especially on a fight like Morchot with so much physical damage going out. Okay. Manarek says, how do you control CDs for Madness and Pales? Let's see if I still have that open. Impale CDs. Yeah, that's more or less our Impale chart. You guys can go back through and watch this on the restream. It'll be on the YouTube if you guys want to just look at that and copy it down for your own use or whatever. Okay. Let's see. How do we get added to the tank audit? All you guys got to do, man, you just got to go to my Twitter, which is linked below, and put your armory. Just be like, hey, Rig, I like the stream. Check out my armory, and link it, and then I'll add it to the spreadsheet. And then here's the spreadsheet. Like I said, I try and chip away at them as I can. There's no restrictions as long as you're a tank. It's a DK Warrior, Pally Druid, doesn't matter. We're up to, well over 100 now. So keeping that going. Like I said, I'm extending this to parsing now. So if you guys have parses, that's going to take a little bit more time, but I'm going to be doing it for you guys just because, that's what the stream is about, is teaching you guys a lot about tanking, and that goes further than just an armory audit. That goes to parse analyzation as well. But here's the deal. If you've got a parse and you want me to look at it, I need specific details about what you want me to look at. Don't just be like, hey, man, here's a parse. I can't help you. You know what I mean? I want to know if you want me to look at when you're using what cooldowns or whatever. I need specific focus on what you need me to look for on a parse. Let's see. So essentially act and react depending on what you know is coming, and additionally factoring in debuffs and raid CDs. That's exactly right. That's the best way to put it. Okay. When do you use AMS on Heroic Morchok and Heroic Yorsage? On Morchok, it just depends. There's two different times you can place. You can use AMS on Morchok. You can use it if you know you're about to soak one of the beam explosions, and if you don't use it then, you can make sure that you use it whenever you can stand for the black phase and get some extra damage and pop that and let your debuffs fall. So that's the two places. Okay, but yeah, there's definitely magic damage on that fight, and you can use it for one of those two. Have I ever thought about uploading my UI? Yes. Have I thought about it? Am I going to? No. Not until you guys do your part, man. That's my the main source of, I built the whole thing from scratch. Yeah. So I'll give it out, but the whole deal, you guys know the drill. 1,000 viewers, we'll make it happen. Heroic Yorsage, when do I use AMS? You need to be using Tolbrad Trinket on that fight, and you more or less want to use AMS towards the end, or say you're really low and you know the next tick of the Shadow Dot is going to kill you. That's a good time to use it. Or when you have like 4 seconds left on the Shadow Dot, you can also use it. That's another good time. Could you go over how you manage your CDs during purple phase on Yorsage? Yes, I just pop for that fight. As a DK, having 4-piece is really good. You always want a 4-piece going into that phase. Oh shit, my bad. I'm thinking of Zanaz. Sorry, Yorsage. How I use CDs. It's every one of these slimes that come out is a 1-minute interval. You always have Bone Shield. You always have Vamp Blood, and you have Lichborn for every other one. You have Dancing Rune Weapon for almost every one. I mean, it's a minute 30 cooldown and things like that. So say you have purple phase. The first purple phase, you need to IBF as soon as he starts meleeing you. Okay, that's going to buy you a pretty decent amount of time. It just depends if you're one tanking it or two tanking it. If you're two tanking it, yeah, you want to IBF pretty much right when you pick the boss up in purple, because the other tank's going to taunt off when you get about 3 stacks anyways. And by the time your IBF is done, you can. I mean, DK is just so strong on that fight, and you know, your self-healing. Biggest thing is just have something mitigating the damage, which is going to reduce the amount of healing that needs to be done. And I mean, it's a pretty safe bet that you have, unless you're just getting back-to-back-to-back purples. If you're getting back to, say, best case scenario is it's every other one is purple. But if you get back-to-back purples, you're going to start needing to outsource some CDs, probably things like a pain sup or something like that. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? It doesn't stack the buff if you... Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. If you have AMS up, you don't get the buff or the debuff from more chalk. So Mastery for Baron Mop is going to be better than the shield now. No one knows, man. Anything about Mop related, it's not really worth speculating because this shit's going to change 10 times over. Okay, would you really be willing to look at a video to see what I did wrong? Yes. Let's see. I have your video here. Okay, we're going to go over that, and then I'm probably going to wrap it up. I'm trying to keep these around an hour. I mean, you guys have a lot of good questions, so I'll try to fit them all in. Let's see. We'll run a quick commercial while this is going, and then we'll be right back. Okay, that's over. I'm going to get back to going here. Try to catch up on these questions, and then I'm going to go over this video, and then we'll wrap it up from there. This guy says he has a question about Absalom. I know he's really good, so I was wondering why he uses Resolve of Undying with Spine Shoulders to Fire the Deep. He's probably, I mean, probably just logging out in eye level gear or something. I'm pretty sure he'd... Well, actually, no. What you're asking about is the Mastery VP trinket, maybe? Yeah, there's no point in really having Mastery. He's CTC capped. You know, it just depends on the fight. He changes gear up a lot. You'd have to ask him specifically, though. So we got a parse here. Okay, this is Templix parse. 1 sec. I'll try to catch up here. Is there any Dragonstone encounter where Crimson Scourge could be replaced by a better alternative? No, not really. I mean, if you want to get like super technical about it, you know, you could put those points in Blade Cake Blade and get a little bit more single target damage, but there's just so many ads and so many fights that Crimson Scourge is worth the points, in my opinion. That's why I run it. Why not use AMS Glyph on your Saj? You guys know that AMS is capped at a certain amount of your HP, right? And that almost gets soaked if you're using it at the right time, i.e. when the thing is ticking super hard, it's going to pretty much consume the entire AMS during its 5 seconds of active time because it's capped at, you know, your HP or whatever, 50% of your HP. If you guys have non-DK questions, feel free to post on the Illidan forums. What add-on do I use for my Druid? It's called Druid Focus. Yeah, I've got it on 1080p, man. We're about to get to that. I'm just trying to catch up with. Okay, why do you use engineering over the stamina bonus from blacksmithing and jewel crafting? Here's the reason, man. engineering is the best tanking profession because it offers you the best, like, utility. I mean, you can't replace, okay, it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to get 100 extra mastery by having two blacksmithing sockets. Like, that 100 extra mastery is cool and all because it's always there, but engineering, you can macro the armor from your glove enchant into your Vamp Blood, or say you're a different tank class, into your Bark Skin, into your Shield Block, or into your Div Prot, you know, and you put it on a 1 minute cooldown basically, and that's up pretty much whenever you need it. But the biggest thing is just rocket boots, man. I mean, and if you guys don't understand how they work now, it's you can't get thrown up into the air. Only thing that's going to happen is you get a rocket fuel leak. You get a rocket fuel leak, oh, big deal, fucking pop AMS, you know, whatever. Call for extra heals. I mean, it's not really optimal, and you can't. It's not 100% reliable, but it's going to work the vast majority of the time, and it can be the difference. But I can't tell you how many raids that we've saved a wipe because I've had rocket boots active. I can't. I mean, it's that many. It's just such a good profession because it doesn't matter what cooldowns you got. It doesn't matter anything. The best way of dealing with something is just not getting hit, okay? And say you're at the end of the boss, and say, like, take Lich King. You know, I mean, Lich King's enraged at the end. You don't want him running around. I mean, say just anything, man. You can just pop rocket boots and kite, and you're not getting hit. You know, there's just too many good things about rocket boots. And say it's a fight with ads, like Spine. You put Cardboard Assassin on it. You pop Cardboard Assassin, there's no chance at a malfunction. It spawns and taunts all the ads and takes, like, 2 to 3 seconds of focus away from the tank. I mean, it's just that good, and that's the reason I also have engineering or leatherworking is just drums of speed. You know, you can't really replace those two utility factors in a raid with, you know, 100 of a stat. It's just not worth it. Okay, good question, but that's the answer. 3 to 4 stacks, yeah. I mean, you could if you're dual tanking the fight. You can probably glyph AMS and it work out pretty good. But yeah, it's kind of like, yeah. I mean, if that's your progression, by all means. If you're two tanking it, definitely glyph it. I glyph AMS for Xana's Heroic to absorb psychic drains because it seems that if I use it when the DBM timer's up, it seems to happen in the last few seconds of glyphs. I mean, if you're saying that you're popping it, and it seems to be going off during the last 2 seconds every time, I'm going to go out on a limb, but maybe just pop it later, and don't use the glyph, and say, you know, you buy yourself a glyph slot, and you still get the AMS absorbed up, okay? No, rocket boots will not throw you into the air during a raid environment. The only time that you can be thrown into the air during a raid with a rocket boots malfunction is on something like Throne of the Winds, where you can, like, fly around. It's like any place that you can be mounted, okay? You can't be thrown into the air. You can only get a rocket fuel leak. Okay. Yeah, like Center said, as long as the instance has a ceiling, and like, I mean, even in Firelands, it can throw you into the air, and it doesn't have a ceiling. So there's definitely only certain places where it can throw you up into the air, and that's only like Throne of the Four Winds, from what I've seen. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to cut off the questions for this now, and I'm going to go through this video with this guy and just kind of give him some pointers and whatnot. And then we're going to go over the overview of the show and then go into what's going on. We got a big day tomorrow, really big day. And we've got a lot of stuff going on tonight, too. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit play here. Is there no sound to this? Okay, I guess not. Alright, so let's see what this guy's got going on. He's got Korcham. It's only a 3-minute clip, so we'll be able to look at this pretty well. Let's just get familiar with his UI real quick. There's his blood presence bar. You got a lot going on, man. I would recommend right off the bat just kind of like scaling some of this shit down so you can see what's going on. I mean, you got to look like between these timers right here, these timers, all this, you know, master control panel that you got going on over here. Then your grid, I mean, you've got like 30+% of your view space just getting wrecked. Alright, so yeah, I'll try to trim down on a lot of that scaling wise. I mean, you don't need to see the raid DPS and HPS and this stuff. I mean, all this can be nuked. Alright, but anyways, aside from the point, yeah, move these timers off your character too. Put them over here. Let yourself be able to see what you're doing. Let's see. You've got okay. We got Vamp Blood, Blood Tap, and Bone Shield. I mean, I can't really tell you a lot because I don't see anything that lets me know when your Blood Shield is active and things like that. I don't even know where the hell your runes are, man. Oh, they're down here on your character? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass about it. I just, I need to be able to see more info to give you some input, man. Like, I need to be able to see when your blood shield's up, when it's not. I mean, that's something you need to be able to see too, man. Right now, you're literally just, first off, you have to look way down here to see where your runes are. Your character's way up here. Your character's halfway covered up with bars and things like that. I mean, you just, you know, UI as a tank is huge, man. I mean, like, you need to modify a lot of this stuff, and it'll help you out a ton, you know. And that's, like I said, I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. It's just the truth. You need to get this better set up for better info. I mean, I literally can't even tell, like, what's going on now. So you used IBF here. I just saw you pop that. And then, okay, so this is only your active buffs. All right. So how do you know? Okay, so I guess you look at bars down. Here's your timer. All right, so let's go off that. There's your blood shield, right? Okay, let's look. Let's start over now that we got some info. Okay, you got a stomp coming in a few seconds. So you got bone shield and blood shield up. Bone shield just got, or blood shield just got consumed. Let's see, you pop blood tap, blood, and then you death strike. Okay. You need to move the boss more for your melee, man. You're making your melee run a lot that they don't need to be running. That's one thing. Okay. Right here, you're going into a stomp, you don't have a blood shield active. That's just what I mean, you need to work on your blood shield timing. Because you got a blood shield up right after it, though. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And without seeing it a ton, it's kind of difficult to... Okay, let's see. So you have, like, no buffs up right now. Like, none. Let's see how you handle this coming out. Alright. So you already popped IBF. You're not going to have IBF up for the Enrage. So that's a pretty big no-no. You want to have IBF up for the end here. Blood shield just fell. You have bone shield. Okay, you're spamming that. You got bone shield up. That's good. Let's see here. You didn't run in and get it. Okay, that's good. Have blood shield up. Blood shield up. Let's see if you're going to blood shield when the stomp is happening. That's pretty much the main thing I'm looking for. Dancing rune weapon up. That's good. Here comes the stomp. Let's see here. Okay, no blood shield. Okay, you got it off right at the end there. That's good. So you barely took any damage. Let's look here. Let's just look at some other things. Where is your Empower Rune weapon? Okay, right here. 2 minutes. When the hell did you use Empower Rune weapon? Are you using that on the pull, man? You should not be using Empower Rune weapon on the pull. That's a huge no-no. There's just no point. You need to save that for like emergencies as a defensive cooldown. You can chain 3 death strikes back to back to back like that, and that's huge. Yeah, so that's a super important thing that I would adjust. Don't use. Let's see here. Where's your Army of the Dead? I don't see it. See, I'm guessing that's what Raid's dead, Raid's ally. Okay, Army of the Dead. Oh, you're one of these guys that pops it on the pull, man. No, you need to save Army of the Dead. Or wait, no, you didn't pop it on the pull. Wait, what the hell? This UI is killing me. Oh, I don't think you popped it at all. Oh, that's just your rune letting you know. Okay, so you popped Empower Rune. Okay, so yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't use things like, okay, let's take a look at how you died. So you just died right here. Let's check out how you died. Alright. So you've had IBF down, which is something you should have sat on. Boss is at 9%. We know you're about to die soon, so let's start looking at variables that ultimately led to your demise. Alright. You've got let's look at the cooldowns you have active. You have Death Pact available. Okay, first off, you don't have to be able to if you have Raised Dead on cooldown, you can channel Army and sack one of those ghouls. All right, so that's just another little tip. All right, so we're gonna play here. Let's see, you've got Bone Shield active. You got Blood Tap with a Blood Shield. All right, that's cool. All right. Yeah, you need to be pulling him with your raid, man. You need to be pulling him with your raid. But let's see here. First off, you could have. Well, no, I guess not. Okay, let's look. Yeah, right now you have Army available and you have Pet Sack available. Both of those are pretty big. You still have your Health Stone. Pretty sure you have an Armor Potted. If you have, cool. I can't really tell. Yeah, and then you got Wrecked. Okay, so let's look. Let's see. You're pretty high, pretty high. Okay, right here, this is where the thought process is to come into play. I'm probably about to take a blast from this thing. Okay, first off, there's a lot of problems that led up to this. You don't have the balls close enough to the crystal. Second off, even though, say, that's just a problem that happened, you could have saved yourself by being like, oh shit, I don't have, you know, I'm fucked at this point. You have several different options. You have Health Stone. You could have got your pet out and been ready to sack it, and you could have channeled Army of the Dead, okay? All of those would have pretty much saved you. If you channel Army of the Dead, you're looking at about 30-some-odd% reduction, and pop an armor pot on top of that. Let's see. Did you even use your Weight of the Feather overheal? You got hit for 149k and then died. Okay, so yeah, you died with several cooldowns available. I'm not saying I'm perfect. It's happened to me before too. I'm just saying. You want me to critique it? That's me critiquing it. All right. Biggest thing is just constantly remind yourself of what cooldowns you have as a tank and like what you're going to be popping next. You know what I mean? Like, especially when the fight gets lower. Say like the fight hits 10%, you knew you didn't have IBF. You should have been going through in your head like, okay, what do I have available? What order do I need to pop this shit in when things go south? You know, it's like, okay, this is about to, you know, if I take a lot of damage, I need to have my pet out and be ready to sack it. If, you know, if you still had your Health Stone, you know, you still had, I'm not sure if you had an Armor Pot or not, and you still had your pet sack, okay? All of those could have ultimately helped you. So, I mean, overall not bad. You like your timing, your blood shield's pretty good. Clean up the UI, man. That'll help you out a ton, okay? So that's that. As far as this parse goes, I'll have to get with this guy in a bit. If you can, do me a favor and just post that on my Twitter, and then what you need me to look through, and then I'm going to go through that and add it to you, okay? So I'm going to do a couple of, make sure there's no more other questions. Okay, we got here, trying to catch up. No, the encounter's only about 4 minutes long. That means unless you're popping IBF at the beginning, it's pretty much not going to be up. And you don't really need it at the beginning. Okay, so yeah, caught up on questions. All right, here's the deal, guys. Went a little bit over, but that's cool because we went over for good reasons. All right, so all in all, awesome show. I can't wait till next Wednesday. These tank Q&As are like my favorite because it's not really like super structured. I can just help out a lot of people that have a lot of questions. So I like these a lot. I appreciate everybody showing up. Okay, there's a couple things I need you guys to do. Okay, I'm gonna have a link that I need you guys to upvote. Let's see. So I'm going to toss this in here. This is for one of our healer streamers. Just toss it in here for help upvoting on the Reddit forums. So you guys just toss it in there, upvote it, keep it from getting slammed by all the Reddit trolls and things like that. Not a big deal. But anyways, to wrap up the tank Q&A, if you guys ever have an armory audit, follow me on Twitter, post it on my Twitter, and I will go through and put you on the armory spreadsheet. I'm going to have a button added to the link section below where you guys can just click it instead of having to highlight, copy, paste, all that good shit. So Tomorrow is the Tank One-on-One from Pikachu on Windrunner. We're going to go through a lot of his logs, a lot of his videos. He's going to be in Skype. We're going to have, you guys are just basically going to get to see a one-on-one, coaching, advice, whatever you want to call it, and things like that. Okay, and then this Friday, we're having a Taxis, one of our mages in Blood Legion. He's going to be the special guest. He's going to be going over mage stuff. Not only that, we're just going to get to know him as a person, what he thinks about the game, get to know some of his favorites, ins and outs about playing a mage, playing WoW, and things like that. So if you're a mage, you need to make sure that you're here Friday for that, and then tomorrow for the Tank One-on-One. Okay, so if you guys are new here, make sure to follow the stream. Make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. Again, this will be uploaded on YouTube tonight, right around the time I go to bed, or either if I don't get it up then, I'll do it right when I get up in the morning. All right, so I do every one of these segments. They get put up on my YouTube. You can take them. You can show them to anyone in your guild. And if they have questions about it, I mean, anything, man. Okay, and then also, as always, add me on Facebook. So I appreciate you guys showing up for this hour. I'll run a couple commercials. We have 2 8 out of 8, clears going on tonight in our raids. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you guys are here for the raids tonight. That starts in less than an hour. So for right now, I'm just going to chill before the raid starts, and we'll get it going. All right. So thanks again for all the tanks and all the questions. So good stuff, and you guys have a good day. Make sure you're on for the raids tonight.